regarding the MOU and what Israel will be doing. Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to be traveling to Washington. It is undetermined exactly when, but he's going to be going probably either next week or the week after that, because Donald Trump will be in Turkey in 3 days here in Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey, and to meet with NATO regarding a whole lot of different issues. One of them will be that the Islamic Republic cannot get a nuclear weapon, and all NATO countries will be discussing this. The other thing, and the more important thing, is that Russia is very, very close to attacking either Poland or the Baltic countries in an effort to draw in NATO into the war. They want to do this to provide tactical nuke deterrence and stop Ukraine from absolutely hammering them. Russia is on the brink of defeat. Probably not much more left, maybe a year, maybe 2 years maximum before Russia completely collapses back into the different federations that it was before. And it is being very desperate. But here's the thing, if it wants to attack the Baltic countries, namely these ones and these ones, it must go through Poland. There is a strategic sort of Strait of Hormuz type situation where there's a bottleneck, and they must go through Poland. And Poland has known this for decades. Poland is probably the strongest European country in terms of military at the moment and has been mobilizing very effectively. Russia might be using Belarus to launch this invasion, and this is not my opinion, guys. This is the opinion of the analysts who have been following the Russia-Ukraine war over the past 4 or 5 years, and they are largely claiming that an invasion from Russia into either Poland or these Baltic countries will happen soon. So, are
But
there
why? They
down
can't
here?
even do Ukraine and they adding it to it? Like if they can't do
Exactly.
Ukraine, why are
They
they?
can't do
I don't
Ukraine.
understand. I don't
They are
understand. If they
trying to
can't do it,
draw in, yeah, they're trying to draw in these other countries and provide pressure on Europe as in general for Europe to stop backing Ukraine. That is
by
probably going to
by
be very
getting
ineffective.
yeah, by giving you Europe more reasons to back Ukraine.
Exactly. So that is in fact, and that is something that European countries are so aware of right now and are so worried that the majority of this NATO conference will be talking about the Russian threat. And Europeans, the NATO organization as a whole, has decided that they will talk about whether or not to give Ukraine another 70 billion euros in the form of a loan to fight the Russian Federation. Previously, the European Union gave a 90 billion euro loan over the past 4 years to help Ukraine, and all of a sudden they are deciding to give them another 70 billion euros in the next 5 months. This is to be given to Ukraine. So it seems that Europe is very agitated and scared of the Russian threat, even though Russia is also on the verge of collapse. I mean, their oil refineries, there's not much of it left. All of them over the north coast has been hit. All of them around the south coast has been hit. Even oil refineries down here on the eastern side of Russia, closer to Mongolia, have been hit, all by Ukrainian drones. And it's not looking so good for the Ukrainian economy, as well as Crimea. Crimea is about to be invaded by the Ukrainians and taken back. So this threat is so real that the Russians have started evacuating sensitive documents from Crimea. This is a complete ploy. The reality of it is they are trying to see what is absolutely necessary for the defense of Crimea and what is not. Everything that's not absolutely necessary, we're going to pull out and we're going to bring back into Russia. And they're getting ready to possibly see the collapse and giving up of Crimea, which is, I mean, they started this entire war over that and has given them access to a multitude of Black Sea ports. They lose that, well, all they got is pretty much the Caspian Sea, which goes straight to Iran, and the North Sea, which has been, at this point, all their oil refineries are, I think, still burning, actually. Those fires are hard to put out. So that's the Russian situation. And in terms of casualties, I actually had something for you guys here. There it is. Oh, didn't mean to click that. Okay. Oh my God. All right. So in terms of casualty numbers, I want to give you guys that graphic so you guys can kind of visualize it. There it is. Here it is. Let's make this bigger. These are the losses of the Russian Federation. Eliminated personnel stands at 1,405,900 military combatants, 500,000 of which are confirmed to be killed in action, and another million or so are casualties, meaning heavily wounded. Over 12,000 tanks, over 24,000 armored vehicles, 45,000 artillery systems. And you guys can generally see the number here. Now, the crazy part is there is an astonishing amount of drones that have been destroyed. Vehicle and fuel tanks are also numbering very, very high in the 6-digit number. The Russian Navy was also sank a long time ago, again, by drones, signaling that drones are a very big deterrence in the future modern warfare that's to come, which is largely why, in my opinion, the USS Abraham Lincoln doesn't just storm the Persian Gulf and act willy-nilly. If the Islamic Republic launched hundreds of or thousands of Shahed drones at once, it would probably be very difficult to defend against. So again, we're estimating about 500,000 deaths for the Russians and another 1 million casualties. The monthly casualty rate in Russia is about 30,000 soldiers. The recruitment rate in Russia is 27,000. So they are losing more soldiers than they're gaining. Unsustainable. The Russia-Ukraine casualty rate has risen to 8-1, meaning eight Russian casualties for every Ukrainian casualty. Previously, in the first half of 2026, the first few months of this year, the casualty rate was 2-1. So 2 Russians dying to every Ukrainian. Now it's every 8 Russians dying for every 1 Ukrainian. This has made Putin panic, and he has showed up with a propaganda video staged in a bunker, talking to Russian generals and getting reassurance from them that Russia is in fact winning the war when they are really, really much not. And many analysts are talking about how. Oh, sorry. What do you want to say something?
Yeah, don't forget what we're gonna say. So overall, how many Russians and how many people died in the past? Uh,
In the
you
conflict.
know,
So
yes,
over
two.
500,000 Russians, and this number is, guys, it's accurate to an extent. Okay, the ones who are missing are not accounted for this. We don't know how many. There's way more that are just quote unquote missing. 500,000 dead, million casualties.
Okay, so are you sure? Because in the Iran-Iraq war, which was devastating,
Yes,
300,000 Iranians died in 8
yes,
years.
yes.
You're saying we got close to 500,000 Russians died in
In
half
half
the
that
amount of
time.
time? In half
Correct.
that time?
Correct.
Unbelievable. Holy crap.
Yes.
Wow. Guys, Americans, you need to, on this 4th of July, really appreciate being American, because tragedy for Americans comes in 13 soldiers dying, and j- Americans justifiably get very, very upset over 13 soldiers dying in their war, right? And look at the value of life in Russia. 500,000 Russians have died, and only until a few days ago, the Russians have been made aware that this war is actually not going their way, because they have been isolated. They live in a bubble, not knowing what the cost of this war with Ukraine is.
The Russians are waking up because the fuel costs in Russia are skyrocketing. In some places, if you can even find fuel, because Russia is an oil exporter, but their oil refineries have been hit. Oil prices in Russia, if you bring them to US dollar equivalents, are $12 a gallon if you can find gas, if you can find it. Americans got squeamish at, what was it, near $5 a gallon? It's over twice and a half that amount in Russia. And life is pretty awful if you're an average Russian citizen. It is terrible. It's about to get even worse because if you're a male Russian and the fighting rage age, like the age range has been extended to the maximum on either side at this point. If you're a fighting age range Russian male, it's about to get a whole lot worse for you. Previously, if you were medically exempt, you didn't have to fight. Well, they're doing away with that. From now on, Russians, when they will recruit you for war, they will not medically examine you. They're saying we're doing away with medical examinations, which means you're missing an arm and a leg. Oh, you're blind in one eye. Oh, you have schizophrenia. Doesn't matter. We'll send you to the front lines anyway. That is not the sign of a country who's winning a war. More quite like the opposite. So there's the Russia update. They will be talking largely about that in the NATO conference that's happening this coming week. And yes, and then the biggest astonishing fact
between 72% to 76% of Russians support this war still.
Right.
Okay.
Just like how there's hundreds of millions of people showing up for Ali Khamenei's funeral.
No, this is from independent polling. No, it's true because the Russians live in a bubble. Like they're not
Really?
told the truth. Yeah.
I wonder what the sample size for that is. I mean, if it's greater than 40,000, then okay, then I'll believe it. But
okay, so here's the thing. So 72% to 76% of Russians express overall support for the actions of their military in Ukraine, though a record high of over 60% simultaneously favor transitioning to peace negotiations. So there's an addition.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's terrible. The astonishing fact is that
They're
over
like
90%.
Yes, go Russian army, go defeat the Ukrainians. But can we also please stop? This is getting too hard. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, over 90% of Russian casualties, so over 90% of that 1.5 million number is from drones, Ukrainian drones. Over 90%.
Wow.
So over 1 million Russians have been taken out by Ukrainian drones alone. That is why Ukrainians are the first and foremost drone operators in the world and are being hired by not only the Persian Gulf Arab countries, but the US and other European countries to train their soldiers on drone warfare. Makes sense because the Ukrainians have had to deal with drone strikes and operating them every single night. You either do or die. So that's the quick Russian update.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.